For this lab, we had to make dilutions of a sugar water solution using a stock solution. To start off, we must have some of our stock solution in a separate container so we aren't drawing the solution directly from the stock container. Stock solution is a solution with a fixed dilution to be used in the lab for experiments. The stock solution has a dilution of 20%. Dilutions take some volume of the stock solution and add water to 25 milliliters to create a dilution. All measurements we take are read at the meniscus for precision. A meniscus is the small dip or peak of a liquid in a round container and occurs because of the surface tension of the liquid in the container. Here we read at the bottom of the meniscus because it's concave. To read the meniscus, we lift the pipette to eye level and read the measurement at the bottom of the meniscus. In order to get accurate measurements for how much liquid we actually put into the flask, we take two different measurements. A first, after we first draw the solution into the pipette, and then one after we let some out. The final volume that is transferred is the initial volume minus the volume after the transfer. After we took each measurement, we had to record them. We wrote them in our lab notebooks. We recorded all measurements we took with the pipettes and the weight of the flask with the solution in it after. And later on in the lab, we went back and calculated the density and the concentration of the solutions we created and added those to the table. So here we are pulling some of the stock solution into the pipette, not into the bowl, but just into the pipette. Here we stop the solution with our thumb so it doesn't come out of the pipette. We read at the meniscus, so it's at the bottom of the meniscus. For this particular pipette, we read from the top down instead of from the bottom up. After we take the measurement at the meniscus, we can put the solution into our volumetric flask so we can create our dilution. We put an amount into the flask and then take another measurement after so we can see how much volume we actually transferred into the flask. After adding our solution into the flask, we can then add more water into the flask up to the 25 milliliter mark so we can make our dilution. We do this by just adding some water into the flask. For our larger amounts, we just poured from our little flask of water. And for the smaller amounts, we had another little pipette that we used to transfer the water. So now we've made our dilution and we can weigh it. The balance was zeroed with the empty flask on it, so we just put our flask on it and we can take our measurement. That is the mass of the liquid in the flask.